Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Subconscious Medicine. Long time no talk. Um, it's been so long since I last recorded an episode. For a multitude of reasons that we're gonna dive into in a little bit. But if you're listening, I'm so glad you're here. I hope everyone's doing well. It's January 10th, maybe. So happy New Year. Hope you had a great holiday season and that your New Year's off to a good start. We're gonna jump back a little bit to around the last time that I talked to you. We're gonna talk about some little life updates, what I've been up to, where I'm at, what I'm looking forward to in the near future. But yeah, it's been a long time, so give me a little bit of grace, but I hope that this can catch us up and set us on a good track for the future. So, hello. We finished fall semester, senior year. Still cannot really wrap my head around that. It hasn't hit me yet. I haven't had the oh shit, I'm a senior moment yet. I kind of say it and it sounds odd, but I really don't think it's kicked in. I think it will as soon as the spring semester starts, because something about it being my last semester ever is really, well, ever is a stretch, obviously. Still have more school in my future. But yeah, it hasn't really hit me. And a lot of my friends are not graduating. I'm graduating early, so a lot of my friends are not graduating with me. Friends from high school, friends from UT, friends from my previous school, whatever. And them specifically are oh my god, you're because they're not. So to them, it's even more surprising. And whenever they say that, I'm oh, shut up. Don't talk to me about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. Because I think if I do think about it, then I will have that moment where everything feels real. But right now, since I'm taking this stance of ignorance is bliss, it hasn't hit me yet. And I'm kind of happy with it that way. So, yes, finished up the fall semester. Overall, it was honestly a semester unlike no other. Granted, it was busy, it was hectic at times, and that's just part of being a student, I feel like kind of what you sign up for. There were a few things that made this semester really unique. The first of which being that we got hit by 2 hurricanes, both causing evacuations. That's not normal. Even if you go to school in Florida, that's not normal, especially the Tampa area. So that honestly to me made the semester feel like it was going by faster. But it caused a lot of chaos in terms of assignments and due dates and things like that. At UT specifically, I don't know if this is true for other schools, I imagine it is, but admin and professors got a lot of hate about how they responded to these hurricanes from students. And I just want to take a moment to address that. They're people just like us, and they're just trying their best. I think that sometimes students take for granted the fact that these administrators have laws and regulations in place that are student oriented, and they have to meet those things. So listen, UT imposed a Saturday class schedule in response to the hurricanes because we had missed so much class time that they figured, how could you possibly get through the course content? And students really rioted this. I will say personally, I was taking 5 classes. None of those 5 classes actually ever met on a Saturday. In each of those classes, I had assignments that were either posted on Saturdays or due on Saturdays as an alternative, and it was unbelievably manageable. And to be honest, I didn't really notice the difference between that and the course load prior to the hurricanes. So, and granted, I do know people who did have to go to class on Saturdays, and although I can't speak to that experience. I can sympathize with that because that stinks. What college student wants to go to class on a Saturday? That being said, I think in those moments, we have to take a step back and recognize that, like I said, they're just people. They're just trying to do their best. And as much as it stinks, we are lucky to have a campus to return to. That wasn't the case for every school. And, um, you know, it comes with the territory. We choose to go to school in a state that we know is prone to this type of weather, and that has to be a consideration. So it's unfortunate, but it was a tough time for everyone, not just students. And I think that I need to take that into account. These hurricanes caused a lot of stress amongst the student body in terms of not just completion of like assignments and due dates, but with that, grading was behind, and like students are worried about their GPA. Students are worried about, if they live off campus, if they're coming back to a place to live that's safe. They're worried about travel plans and so on and so forth. So it was a semester that was particularly high in stress for myself, but I think for a lot of us. And, you know, it's it's unfortunate that those two hurricanes came back to back. That's kind of a freak of nature thing, but we're here. We made it through. All things considered, our campus really lucked out, and we got through it. Um, Not to say that I do want to recap that people are still hurting from the destruction caused by both these hurricanes, and not just in Florida either. A lot of the other states that were hit are wildly overlooked, and all in need of aid. There's still so many volunteer efforts and donation efforts that are dedicated to those states and those communities, and I urge you to get involved somehow because there's plenty of ways. If you want, you can check on the Subconscious Medicine Instagram. There's a bunch of links there for Hurricane Milton and Hurricane Helene relief efforts if you want to participate in any way, because those efforts are very much still ongoing. Many, many people lost their homes entirely and are really starting from scratch, and they'll need aid for this foreseeable future. So if you're willing and you're able bodied, I encourage you to do so. I also want to note that this semester was, because it felt so chaotic at times and just very hectic. I I don't want to say I was feeling burnt out towards the end of the semester. I don't think that's quite the right feeling, but I felt a little bit numb, in terms of like my social emotional capacity, because I just fell into such a routine and a habit of coursework that I didn't really feel like I made time for much else, particularly in the month of October and then like the beginning of November. Um, you know, when you're a student, you just get into a good routine, and in part that can be really helpful, but at times it also creates this like robotic sort of approach and like monotonous approach to everyday life, and I felt like I was really lacking some like spontaneity or like fun. And it's hard to fit that into your schedule and make time for those types of things when you are like really in crunch time. I know that's an experience that all students have. That was only exacerbated by the hurricanes, of course, but it left me at the end of the semester ready for a change in scenery. And it's a lot. I'm home right now, in case you couldn't tell, the change in scenery, but prior to being home for winter break, I have not been home since the beginning of May 2024. So it's been a long time. And that was a personal choice. This summer, I was working a lot, I was taking classes, I was traveling to other parts of the country. And so, yeah, I hadn't been home, and I never felt homesick. Even this semester, I didn't feel homesick at all. Um, but I was ready for a change of scenery, and it didn't have to be home. It happened to be, but it didn't have to be home. So, for Thanksgiving, I did not come home. I went to Kansas to spend some time with my boyfriend. Um, And, even that was refreshing in and of itself, despite it being a new and, like, unfamiliar place. Just being out of my physical environment gave me a lot of energy and motivation going into finals week. And I credit a lot of my success in finals week to being able to have that, like, 7, 8-day escape prior. Also the week before traveling to Kansas for Thanksgiving break, best friend Alexa, if you're listening to this, you're probably not because you're like the busiest person in the world. But she came to visit me in Tampa and we had the best weekend ever. She was literally there for like maybe 48, 50 hours. Um, but it was so much fun and we just like jam packed those 2.5 ish days that she was there, and accomplished so much. And I love having visitors in Tampa and being able to like show the life that I've built to them, whether it's parents or other family members or my partner or friends or whomever. But being able to show them like that side of me and where I go to school and where I hang out and going to local coffee shops and going to the beach and just exploring a city that they've never been to that I now get to call home, is always really exciting. So had that, then spent Thanksgiving with my boyfriend in Kansas, went back to Tampa for not even 2 weeks, I don't think, finished finals, and then came home. So it's sort of how this semester wrapped up. Yeah, it was a crazy semester, but a successful one. I'm really, really happy with the way it ended and, tying the bow on it and setting it to the side. Like I said, it was a really high stress time, but there's beauty in that and it served a lot of great experiences. It fostered some new relationships and some new opportunities, all of which I'm really grateful for. So that was the fall 2024 semester. We've got one left. Um, yeah, that's that's blasphemy. I really can't wrap my head around that. But I'm feeling optimistic. I'm feeling hopeful. I'm feeling undeniably grateful for the people and that have supported me through my undergraduate career. And I'm also just really excited about what's to come after. I know that this is not the end for me, so I'm really excited about that next chapter. I'm not sure what it looks like yet, but I'm really excited. Um, yeah, so I've been home for a few weeks now, which I never thought I'd say. I did not think I was going to come home for all of winter break, yet here we are. Don't get me wrong, at times I've gone a little stir crazy, but it's been a good time. It's been restful. Honestly, like home doesn't feel like home much anymore, and I think that's for a few reasons. The biggest though, I think, is that the people that I associate with home aren't home. And so when I come home, other than like immediate family members, I don't see those people. So for instance, like my partner doesn't spend much time here. Like he only came home for like 5, 6 days or something. So he's not here, despite the fact that like I associate him with home. We're still like long distance during winter break. Or like my best friend Brooke, she lives here, but is all traveling all over too, and she has her own place at school, and so like home doesn't really feel like home much anymore. But there's things I've really learned to appreciate about my hometown that I took for granted a lot. Um, for instance, my parents complain about the traffic here. Oh, there's no traffic. Like compared to the traffic at school, this is nothing. Um, so yeah, like little things like that that you just look over. The cold weather though, something I'm not grateful for. I'm currently sick for like the second week in a row. I'm also recovering from pink eye, so if you notice that this eye is looking crazy, please, please, please ignore that. um, but yeah, I don't even know. Just constantly sick. I don't know if my body is just not used to the cold weather anymore, but like I grew up here. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but regardless, it's so 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 cold and I'm constantly sick. I'm taking my multivitamins, I'm taking my vitamin C, I'm taking my allergy medicine. I'm doing all the things. But here we are. Sick again. So, yeah, that's not been great, but whatever. So, I'm just trying to stay busy this winter break. Like I said, get a little stir crazy when I have too much time on my hands. So I've really been trying to stay active and stay busy. Um, there's an elderly woman in my community that I help out very regularly, just around her home and things like that. So I've been helping her a lot. It's also a great way to make money while I'm home. Um, I've been cooking and baking a lot. If you know me, you know I love to cook. I like to bake a little less because I don't like following directions. I don't like recipes, and you kind of have to with bake. Not you don't have to, trust me, because I don't really. But like it's a little bit more specific than cooking is, so I enjoy cooking more. But I like both, and I've been doing a lot of both while I'm home. Um, it's funny. I was just talking to one of my friends about this, but I'm a pretty picky eater, but my parents are not, and like the people I'm usually cooking for are not. So most of the time, the things that I'm cooking are not things that I eat, which is really funny because usually like you cook so you can enjoy it. The things I'm cooking I don't eat. So yeah, but it gives me the opportunity to cook multiple things because then I also have to cook something for myself. So blessing in disguise, I guess. But yes, been doing a lot of cooking and baking, spent a lot of time with family. I've gone to spend a lot of time with my nephew the last few weeks, and that's been amazing. He's getting so big. Oh, Lolo, if you're listening, love you so, so, so much. Um, but yes, he's so big. I literally can't hold him. If you know me, you know I have back problems, and I swear to God, I cannot hold him for more than like 10 to 15 minutes before my back literally feels like it's broken. So I have to like sit or pass him along to someone else, take a time out, because he's chunky. He's chunky, but watching him and just getting to play with him and hang out with him the last few weeks has been really fun. Um, See him like learn new things is really, really cool. He's waving. We worked on that last time he was here. We're getting there. I don't know if other people would think it's a wave, but I see the vision. But yeah, anyways, he's just so precious and I love spending time with him. Um, I don't know what made me think of this because I didn't even write this down or anything, but I also got to eat at my favorite restaurant while I've been home. Okay, granted, let me take that back. It's not my favorite, like, it's not the best food. It's good, but it's not great. However, if you're from Connecticut, I'm sure you know of this place. It's called Cava. Don't be confused. It's not the Cava chain, like the one that has like bowls and salads, like the Mediterranean chain. It's not that. Although that place is really good. Shout out Maddie if you're listening cuz we love going there. But anyways, um no, it's not that one. It's also called Cava though, which is confusing and spelled the same way. But anyways, it's a restaurant in Connecticut and it's like a I don't know. I don't know. It's not really traditional Italian. It's more like Americanized Italian. But yeah, they do a Christmas display every year. And every year they're up for awards for like America's most decorated Christmas restaurant or whatever. But essentially, there are 6 separate rooms when you go into this restaurant. And for the holidays, each room has a different theme and they decorate them. So, like this year, and then when the themes change every year. And this year, the room that like me and my boyfriend ate in was Sleeping Beauty themed. They have a Grinch themed room. They have like Santa's workshop themed room, like all these different themes, right? And it is decked out to the nines, like absolutely crazy. Like the room that we ate in had 9 Christmas trees hanging upside down from the ceiling. Crazy. The whole restaurant total had like over 200 something trees in it this year, and it's not a big restaurant. It's not that big. Um, but yeah, it's just so fun, and it's really nice because if you go, we didn't do this time. We've done this in the past. We've gone a few times. We've done this in the past. This time it was just really busy, and we didn't want to be disruptive to like the waiters and waitresses. But in the past, if you don't go during like peak dinner time, um, you can like sit down, order your food, and then once you order, you can get up and walk around to each of the rooms. And then usually, like by the time you're back, your food's ready. This is one of those fancy restaurants that has like the 90-hour limit. So they're trying to like get you in and out really quick because they want to obviously get in as many reservations as they can. So because that dinner usually comes out pretty fast. So if you order and then walk around, you get to see everything, and then by the time you're done, your meal's ready, which is really neat. Like I said, this year it was super busy, so we just didn't want to be in the way. So we ate first and then walked around quick, like on our way out, walked through each room. But yes, it's just such a fun experience. Everyone's so excited to be there. I wouldn't bring kids if I were you. I was just thinking about this, like kids would probably love it, but none of the all the displays are like very touchable. I feel like they would hit something. It's really crowded. Yeah, probably don't bring kids, but it's so fun. Food, good, not great. I will also say it's extremely expensive for what it is. But that's why personally I would never go, like not during Christmas, but during the holidays they have that amazing setup and it's so fun. They also keep it up for a while. It's set up like right after Thanksgiving. They do it overnight, which is like sick. And then it's up until like mid-February, I want to say. So if you miss the boat and don't get to go in December, like totally go in January. Honestly, it's probably a lot less busy. So maybe that's the wave is go in like January or February. Um, but so fun and yeah, pretty decent food. I'm not complaining. It's good. Is it worth the money? No, but is it worth the money with the Christmas display? I think so. I think it's really fun. Anyways, yeah, winter break. Been cooking and baking a lot. Spending time with family. Sort of just like preparing mentally for the next semester. Like I said, I think it's gonna hit me as soon as the semester starts, so I want to put myself in a good place, and just be prepared. I guess I'm only taking 3 classes, so that's actually crazy. I've never taken less than 5 classes in a semester, and the most I've taken is like 7 or 8. And I don't know what I'm gonna do with my time. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna find a way to make myself busy. Like I'm still working, I'm still in clubs, other activities, whatever. But yeah, I only have class 2 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays. But then I work Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays off, which is so exciting. Haven't had Fridays off since fall of last year. So that's really nice. That was the only semester I've ever had Fridays off, and oh my god, was it amazing. Loved it so much. So I'm really looking forward to that again. Yeah. Also want to touch on this really quick. We're not going to talk about this too much because it's just stressing me out. Grad school. Oh goodness. In a state of constant stress about that. Honestly, have put it on pause for a little bit. Like working on apps, trying to enjoy a little bit of my winter break. That pause kind of ended today, so that's that. But it's what's meant to be will be, and we'll figure it out. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. Excited about that next step and where I'm going to end up, but I don't really know what that looks like right now. But applying and playing the waiting game. Yeah, I think that's kind of it for a little catch up with me and sort of what's been going on. Um, yeah, not much. Nothing truly that exciting. I leave to go back to Tampa on Thursday, January 16th. And then just gonna chill, get ready, sort of get all settled before classes start on the 22nd, 23rd. It's the following Tuesday, the day after MLK Day. So yeah, that's coming. And then that weekend is Gasparilla, so that should be interesting. And then we're kind of just right back into the swing of things. So coming up quick, but looking forward to my final semester. So crazy. But yeah, that's kind of the last bit of my update. Um, However, I did want to talk about something. If you guys are not living under a rock and paying any attention to the news right now, you know that Los Angeles and Southern California is experiencing a crazy burst of wildfires. And it is unbelievably tragic and so unsettling to watch these videos and just see, in large part I compare these weathering events to hurricanes and that we experience in Florida, because something that water and fire have in common is that they are undeniably powerful and so unbelievably hard to control. In the same way that water has such a surge about it that it can become extremely dangerous, there's a lot of unpredictability with fire as well. And watching these flames just travel so quickly amongst the brush and the homes within the Southern California community is crazy. I will be linking a ton of resources on the Subconscious Medicine Instagram, as well as in the comment section of this video, of places to donate or get involved. And I really encourage you, if you're in the place to do so, to do that. I want to remind you too that it is our responsibility as global citizens to participate in active citizenship and to help our neighbors in our communities. And I understand that not everyone is always in the place to provide monetary donations or to provide your time. However, that does not mean you're exempt from being a force in the relief efforts for this community. And so if you are not able to provide yourself, or even if you are, I strongly encourage you to share these resources with people who you think might be able to. Every donation counts, and I encourage you to share these resources, do your research, stay up to date and involved, and try your best to support this community as much as you can, because they need it. They need it a lot. So I wanted to touch on a interesting sort of phenomena I've been hearing about these LA wildfires. Something that we heard in the Tampa community a bit when we were getting hit with hurricanes, but it's being put on a much different scale um, in this LA situation. So I want to take a moment briefly to note that this is by no means a political conversation. I'm not I'm not suggesting any type of political belief or subjecting you to any particular ideology. I'm just encouraging you to think about these people as humans. And I don't want this to turn into political discourse by any means, but it has brought up a really interesting phenomena that I've seen particularly on social media platforms, but now seeping into like mainstream news. And that is this idea that the communities that have been hit by these weathering events are particularly wealthy communities, filled with people who have a lot of money, have a lot of wealth, and therefore they do not deserve sympathy. Um, those aren't my words, by the way. That's sort of what I'm hearing. I'm hearing people say that these people are so wealthy they can just rebuild and they can they'll just buy a new home or build a new home, and they'll be just fine and blah 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 blah. Here's my take. Um, and that is BS. I don't care if you're wealthy. I don't care if you have generational wealth or if you've earned it yourself via some professional avenue. Losing your home and all of your belongings and, being unclear on your safety and the safety of your family and loved ones, that is an experience that I wouldn't wish upon my biggest enemy. That is so unbelievably devastating. I cannot imagine coming home and seeing my house in ashes and everything that is in it. Surely you can rebuild a house if you have money, but there are things within that home that you cannot recreate. I was listening to a interview with a mother who lived in the area whose home was burnt down. Uh, I know a lot of famous people live in this area. I didn't recognize her, and they didn't use her name, which makes me think she's probably not a public figure. I could be mistaken, but either way, she seemed like a normal woman. She has 3 kids. She seemed maybe 40 years old, maybe a bit younger, and you know, she was clearly in a state of shock. Was showing a lot of like emotional dysregulation as warranted by the situation, of course. And she was talking about these sort of like memory boxes that she had for each of her children, filled with the sonograms from their pregnancies, filled with notes that she had written them and that her husband had written them, and all of these like unbelievable keepsakes that she had held on to, and saved for when her children were still young. So saved for when they were older and they could appreciate. She had saved like their favorite toys and things that she was hoping to give to the next generation, to her grandchildren one day, and all of it gone. I think about people who are on work visas or who have immigrated to this country who don't have their passports, people who are adopted that don't have adoption papers anymore, just like all of these things that are unbelievably important, photo albums from weddings and pregnancies and graduations and other important, like people's diplomas. I'm graduating soon. Like, oh, you can't just order a new one, I don't think. Like, I mean, maybe, but all of these incredible keepsakes and memorabilia that is gone. Also, this community has a pretty large elderly population, and I've watched numerous interviews of people who are 80, 85, 90 years old, 90 plus, talking about how they've lived in these homes for 50, 60 years. And listen, our generation, I think is the end to that. Like, I don't think people in our generation, and maybe even the one right prior to us, are people who settle in homes for that long. Um, but like I think about my grandma. My grandma lived in her home for probably 40, 45 years. Um, and all of that's gone. You've made a life in this home. You've married in this home, had kids, had grandkids. The amount of memories that physical location holds, and these are people who, with all due respect, are 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 in old age, and they are hoping to retire and pass in these homes, and that's not a possibility anymore. I also saw a video of a elderly community center, like a nursing home, evacuating, and it was like painful to watch. Many not able-bodied, and so they're in wheelchairs being pushed, and these amazing, amazing first responders and firefighters there to aid all of the employees that work in these facilities. That's the other thing, is it's not just affecting people who live there; it's affecting the people who work there. The amount of schools that have burnt down and businesses that have burnt down. Think about all the faculty, all the people that those places employ, all those people are now out of a job. So although they may not live in that immediate community, they work there and they now are jobless. Um, so I I just fear that that message is really, really, really dangerous. Suggesting that because people have wealth, that they don't deserve our sympathy, they don't deserve our aid or help in any way is just so out of touch and inconsiderate to the fact that these people have lost everything. They've lost their livelihood, and you know, the least we can do is show a little bit of respect for them and a little bit of sympathy and a little bit of compassion and try to help in any way that we can. Again, whether that be more traditional volunteer roles if you're in the area or able to travel, whether that be via monetary donations or spreading the word and sharing resources to people who can participate in either of those previous options. But I just think that suggesting that celebrities who lose their houses, should just sort of move on is really out of touch. Um, you know, I understand that celebrities oftentimes, like mainstream celebrities, get a lot of hate because people feel that they don't deserve their money, or not necessarily don't deserve it, but that those types of salaries and monetary resources should be delegated to other professions like nurses or teachers or so on and so forth. I hear where those perspectives are coming from. I mean, in an ideal world, you know, a lot of jobs would earn a lot more money. But the reality is that money, though plentiful, it has limitations, and our economy is set up on in such a way that the jobs that are paid the most tend to be the ones with the highest risk. Um, for instance, doctor has more responsibility and risk than a nurse, so the doctor is paid more. Um, and I'm not necessarily taking a stance on that perspective about mainstream celebrities and how much they earn and so on, but I am saying that the amount of money that someone makes, the socioeconomic bracket that someone holds, does not constitute their availability to sympathy in times of chaos and destruction and devastation. And I think that our ability to sympathize with people and to show empathy and compassion should not be confounded by the amount of money that these people have or that they've earned. So I encourage you to think about it and stay well informed. It's unfortunate that our mainstream news resources have taken this as an opportunity to make a political statement, many of which I strongly disagree with. However, I understand that that's oftentimes the easiest way to consume news. So if you are doing that, I encourage you to listen to both sides, and recognize that the drastic differences between such suggest that there's some type of middle ground, like there is for most of our news broadcasting. Or if you are in the position to someone who is in the community, listen to them, hear them out, listen to testimonials. There's so many amazing, um, really touching speeches and interviews that are being done by community members. I encourage you to listen to those. um, People who are experiencing this firsthand, as well as a lot of first responders, who are sort of boots on the ground right now. Listen to them, listen to ways that you can make their lives easier, help them out. But yeah, I again am in no way making a political statement. I just wanted to offer my own sympathy to these communities, in the same way that I hope people sympathized with my community and the neighboring ones when we were hit by two hurricanes this fall. So please stay well informed. Please get involved, at the capacity that's comfortable for you, and yeah, just stay informed. Times like this have made me think a lot about sort of like consumerism. And, I've said in the past that I think I'm quite minimalist, I would say. But it's falling at a unique time in the year, right? Like that time right past the holiday season where, at least in America specifically, over consumerism is sort of at its peak. And now these families are experiencing complete destruction to the extent of like forced minimalism and owning nothing, and losing all of those keepsakes and, um, investments and such. And so, what I found really interesting listening to these interviews and these testimonials is the things that people packed with them. And a sort of a running trend seems to be that in that moment of crisis, obviously you're extremely overwhelmed and flustered, but a lot of these people say something to the extent of like, how do you even know what's important? Or like they're packing and, is this even important? Is this even worth taking up space? Is there something else I should bring instead? And you don't really know until you're in that situation. Um, and I think it's amazing that a lot of responders and relief teams have sort of curated these lists of things to remember that are often forgotten. Again, things like passports, birth certificates, social security cards, portable chargers, things that might be overlooked. I think that's great, but there are also personal keepsakes that are, individual to specific people, and those change based off the person. And it's interesting to see the things that people pick and choose to bring with them when they evacuate, whether or not their home is there when they return. Those people that leave, what it is that they bring with them. I think it's really fascinating, and I think it's a testament to what it is that people value in their lives. If you know Heidi Montag and her husband, I can't remember his name right now, but I have not seen them in years. But when they came up on my Instagram feed, I was like, where do I know these people from? So I looked them up. They're from The Hills, if you remember that TV show. It was on TLC, maybe, like early 2000s, middle 2000s, and not middle 2000s, like 2010, maybe. Um, but anyways, they were on the show called The Hills. It was kind of like reality TV. They lived in California, and it was just a show about their life. I don't really remember the plot, to be honest. Like most reality television, there probably wasn't much of one. But anyways, they were in that show, and they lost their home in the fires. They have multiple kids. I don't remember how many, but two or more, definitely. And Heidi made a video about, that they had lost their home and they had evacuated, and they, you know, are safe and their children are safe. And, she's talking, and these are very wealthy people. They live in a beautiful home, and she's talking about the things that she brought, and she's talking about all these things she brought for her kids, their favorite toys she brought, their blankets, their outfits, diapers for the little one, go on and on and on. And then she gets to herself, and she like realizes in the video, it seems like, that she packed herself two shirts and two pairs of pants, and that was it. And I'm listening to this video, and listen, I don't know Heidi personally. I don't even keep up with her like day-to-day life. I don't follow her or anything, so you know, I don't know who she is as a person. But I think that that's the place that a lot of mothers and a lot of parents are in right now is, their first thought is, I want to protect the people that, can't protect themselves. Children don't know what to do in these situations. Adults don't know what to do in these situations. So children sure as hell don't. And I just thought that was a testament to her and many other mothers who are, or fathers who are thinking about their children first. And I really just thought that that was a beautiful moment, of her speaking about how she tried her best to protect her kids. And although it's going to be a long road ahead of trying to rebuild and trying to, get back up on your feet, I did think that that was a beautiful realization that she had about what motherhood is like. I mean, I'm not a mother, but I imagine that's what motherhood is like. And there's a lot of other people who've made similar statements, famous or not, that have talked about that as well. So again, I just encourage you all to stay up to date. Please stay informed, help in any way. Um, and yeah, these weathering events are certainly a testament to climate change, but we're not going to dive into that right now. But I just encourage you to help in any way that you can. It's no different than the hurricanes that hit the East Coast months ago. It's no different than severe snowstorms that hit the north every year. Like, no matter where you live, there's going to be weathering like this. And California specifically is subjected to these crazy, crazy wildfires, and I can't even imagine how scary they are. Um, but I know that a lot of people in this country need our help right now, and if you're able to do so, I strongly encourage you to. So yeah, that's a wrap. Not a very happy note, but I think it's a note of hope that we can help these communities. So yeah, that's where I've been. I'm so happy we got to catch up. I'm so sorry. It's been a long time. Life got in the way, and this was not prioritized, and that's on me. But I'm hoping to get back into the swing of things, and I really appreciate you listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Again, if you're interested in donating, or helping efforts, or just staying up to date, please check the description box below, as well as the Subconscious Medicine Instagram for tons of links and resources. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys listening. Hope everyone has a great week. Bye, guys.